Today we're diving into the vast and exciting world of Warhammer 40K with a special guide for beginners. If you're new to the hobby and wondering where to start, this is the video for you. These are quick tips to get you started finding your first army. The first step in your Warhammer 40K journey is choosing a faction. The universe of 40K is incredibly diverse, with many factions each having unique lore, play styles and aesthetics. Here are a few tips to help you decide. Do some research on the backstory of each faction. Are you drawn to the noble and stoic Space Marines, the ancient and mysterious Necrons, or perhaps the brutal and savage Orcs? Pick a faction that excites you and sparks your imagination. Consider how each faction plays on the tabletop. Do you prefer a fast, aggressive playstyle or a more defensive, strategic approach? For example, Eldar are known for their speed and precision, while the Astra Militarium excel in overwhelming firepower and numbers. Finally, think about the look and feel of the models. You'll be spending a lot of time painting and assembling them, so choose the faction whose models you love. Take a look at some of these starter sets from different factions. Notice the design and the detail. This can really help you decide which faction appeals the most. Once you've chosen your faction, the next step is to get your hands on some miniatures. A great place to start is with a combat patrol box or a start collecting set. These kits give you a solid core of units to begin your army and often come at a discounted price compared to buying the models separate. Let's look closer at what you normally get in a starter set. Inside you'll find a selection of models, bases and sometimes even a few pieces of terrain. These sets provide a balanced mix of units that you can use in smaller games to get a feel for the rules and strategies of your faction. Now that you have your models, it's time to assemble them and paint them. This can be one of the most enjoyable parts of the hobby, as it allows you to bring your army to life. Here's a few tips for beginners. Before you start painting, apply a primer to your models. This helps the paint stick better and gives a smoother finish. Begin with a base coat, then add layers and details. Don't worry if your first attempts aren't perfect. Practice makes perfect, and there are plenty of tutorials online to help you improve. Here's a simple paint scheme for a Space Marine. Start with a base colour, add some details, finish with a wash to bring out the recesses. You'll be surprised how good your models can look with just a few basic techniques. With your models assembled and painted, it's time to learn the rules and play your first game. The Warhammer 40K rulebook can seem daunting, but don't worry, start with the basics and build up from there. Many starter kits include simplified rules to get you started. Here are the basics. Each game turn is divided into phases: movement, shooting and close combat. Units have different stats that determine how they move, shoot and fight. Don't worry about memorising everything at once. Play a few small games to get the hang of it, and gradually introduce more advanced rules as you go. One of the best parts of Warhammer is the community. Whether online or at your local game store, there are plenty of opportunities to connect with other players. So join forums, social media groups, or attend events and meet fellow hobbyists. Share tips and find opponents. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for a game. Most players are happy to help beginners learn the ropes. And remember, the most important thing is to have fun. I hope you found these tips helpful and you're excited to build your first army. Happy wargaming!